Hey, YouTube, how you doing? Scott Pat and Dylan here. Hey, Dylan, how you doing?
What up, brother? How you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself? And here tonight we're going to talk about a little movie that we saw recently, and that's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We wanted to come in here and talk to you about that and discuss what we thought of the movie and what we thought of how it was over the franchise. So I guess we'll just get going with it. I saw it when it first came out. What was that, about 2 weeks ago? It was now, roughly.
Yeah.
I think you did too. You saw about 2 weeks too, right?
Because what?
So,
Mission Impossible was the week.
yeah,
before,
that's right. So if some of our memories are a little fuzzy, it's because it was 2 weeks ago. But since then, both of us, I think, wanted to rewatch the Crystal Skull. And we did that, so we have a little bit of
I
comparison.
watched Last Crusade too. But
Okay.
yeah, I had to watch Crystal Skull to kind of compare the one that everybody hates on to this.
I've always liked Crystal Skull, and my rewatching it just solidified. Well, I guess I'll give my opinion. When I went to see this, I liked it. I thought it was a good, decent movie, but I had issues with it. But I didn't hate it like everybody started hating on it that caused it to become a flop.
Yeah.
There was things in the movie that I don't agree with. They did. I don't agree with them making. Let's face it. The elephant in the room. The guy's 80 years old,
Right.
so there's only gonna be so much this dude can do.
Exactly.
And rewatching Crystal,
it's like a Far Cry too late,
Yeah, I mean, watching Crystal Skull. When I saw that the first time, I said, "Holy shit, this guy needs to be in a fucking wheelchair." Now I watch Crystal Skull, and it's like, "Holy shit, Crystal Skull! He looks a lot better."
He was Indiana Jones full on, like doing his like fights and everything. But in this, I was like, he can't even punch someone in this one.
And they kind of alluded to that. The guy's old, and I think they kind of acknowledged that in the movie. So some of the stuff is scaled back, but that's okay. It's a little bit more believable that way. But when I first saw the movie, first thing we get is let's talk about some of the stuff. So the movie opens up and you get the flashback to the end of the war. We get a young, de-aged Indiana Jones, and this is the first scene where everybody has an issue with it. And to tell you the truth, I think Dylan said he did. I don't. I thought the de-aging was done pretty well. The only thing that took you out of it is the fact that they should have done something to his voice so it wasn't an old man indie voice, on the de-aging, which was a little, took you out of it.
It just felt like a video game to me.
Yeah.
Like I just knew it was fake. It looked good, I guess, when he threw the hat on, but it just.
Yeah, to me it didn't look as bad.
Real. I just knew it wasn't real.
Yeah, to me it didn't look as bad as like in The Flash, where the Batman's on his bike. The whole chase scene felt like a video game. This didn't seem as bad.
That was better. I could tell that was like, straight up like him just sitting on a bike, like a super close up. But this,
right?
It felt not real. Like I could tell that was like all CGI. Like they did some where like they probably had an actor play, like where they did.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Like they made a Harrison Ford mask and they put it on someone, and then but there was a lot of stuff where I was like, this is like all CGI.
It was pretty dark, so that didn't really bother me. Plus, I like what's the guy's name who was his little buddy in the movie there, in that opening scene? Wasn't he in that short guy?
That was the guy who played in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Right, but wasn't he in the one with Sean Connery? Wasn't he in that one too?
I
thought he was in one of the other ones.
They added him.
But he was good.
The guy who was in the Sean Connery one, he died because then in Crystal Skull they say he's like, first I lose Dad and Marcus.
Right.
Like that Marcus and his dad were both in the Last Crusade.
Right. And so we get that opening scene. He gets freed by the bomb coming in there, which is a little cheesy, I thought. It's kind of strange too. Is as colorful. I don't know. There was a little more level of like violence in this. I mean, they were killing everybody. The Nazis were truly bad guys. Back in the day, yeah, they were bad guys, but you kind of felt they were kind of cartoonish and over the top too.
Dude, they were killing
the
people. They were killing people in the Last Crusade too, man. Because
yeah,
then, like when Indy's just killing these Germans,
right.
his dad's like, "What the hell?" Like he's never seen because they say Sean
Well,
Connery
I'm talking
like
about the
field
Germans
guy.
killing. But okay, but then we get that. The scene that takes me out of it is the train scene, where the guy, the main villain, Mads Mikkelsen, he gets fucking whacked by that fucking
So hard. I
signpost.
thought that was
The
like a
guy would be
right
dead.
there, and
Guy
not
would
a
be dead,
mark on him. I thought he was long dead.
and
How did
no explanation given why he survived that. That they could have gave something like he has some kind of a cult, something going on, rejuvenated him or something because
or
he
just
got
give him a big ass scar, like go. But that
yeah
looked like a cartoon where the way he got hit, like his face should. There should be no more Mads Mikkelsen
right
face after that. That was absolutely crazy.
yeah it was crazy and even he makes
Or
a
like
he
let him
says that
get
in the
knocked
movie is
off
like
the train, but the way he gets cracked on that thing, oh my god.
right. So then we go on to the next scene where he's back at teaching at college. Now this kind of leads into my whole problem with the movie a little bit is that um I don't envision Indiana Jones, somebody who in his 80s is still going to be teaching to these kids who are sitting there bored. He'd be in an office. He'd be going over like all these antiquities. You know, he'd be doing that for people. People know that he's this. You know, all the shit he's done in his past. He'd be out doing some exploration. So to have him sitting there to add more level of like angst to the guy, you know, because now we find out that um, the Shia LaBeouf character, who they obviously weren't going to be bringing back, died off screen in the Vietnam War, and that was a whole thing where he didn't want him to go to war, and he went to war against his, you know, and it broke up the family, and then because of that, his wife Karen Allen divorced him or is going to divorce him. You know, so it got really in the whole kind of like angsty. To me, I think, you know, sure he's gonna be sad that his son died, but he never was that type of guy. Like the perfect scene is in Crystal Skull, where they sit down and they look at that picture of Sean Connery, who died. So, you know, he did die when that movie was made, and he goes like hell of a couple of years, and you know he'd have some regrets, but it wouldn't stop him from going on with his life, kind of sort of. Not that this did, but I think just to saddle him with all that, you know, everybody has to have trauma now in a movie, and it just sinks down. That's what's missing a little bit in this movie, and I think that's what Steven Spielberg um, and George Lucas brought to it. It's a sense of fun. You know, this was based on just an old time serial. Even even in Crystal Skull, that sense of fun is there, and it's lacking a little bit in here. You know, then we meet his goddaughter. That was kind of confusing, but you know, it's a friend of his that we never really meet, so we have no tie-in because we never really met that guy. If it was Salah's goddaughter, Salah, who was in the first movie, is in this movie, that kind of would have maybe made sense. But since we don't really have any why he would be close to him, to this girl, we have no feeling for it. But to me, she's fine in the movie. You know, she doesn't bring down the movie like everybody says. Do they have her doing some stuff like Indy can't do? Yeah, but that's because Indy can't do it. But I thought she was okay. And even the kid, the imitation short round, other than him knowing how to do all this stuff, like fly the plane, he didn't really bother me all that much either. And then then we start getting into the adventure part of that movie. But to me, it's missing a little bit of the charm that the whole series had, and I think that's just Steven Spielberg. This felt like you made a comment to me, Dylan. This felt like Logan. Because James Mangold directed Logan, and that's
yeah. It's always that downer shit, like where it's
that
like
vibe.
Tom Cruise, so they're at that like the end of their time, you know.
Right. You know, I think Indiana Jones could be at the end of his time and still have that joy of life. and that's kind of what was missing. Although I still think it comes through. There's some great stuff in this movie with when they find the actual dial of destiny that we're looking for. So I guess talk about your impression of that first half of the movie there.
Man, I wasn't really crazy about that CGI, but that was some of the best stuff we get because it's like young Indy, and the rest is the old Indy, and it's just him just like living in this small ass apartment, and it's really bright. You know what I mean? It's like very it's like really bright in a way, but not like in the Steven Spielberg colorful way. I don't know. It felt like a lot hotter. Like it was like super hot New York City, but I don't know. The cinematography was definitely not what we're used to. Like it's almost night and day when you watch a Crystal Skull and then this. Like it's two different directors. Did you ever notice that where it just felt like the sun was beaming down on them at all times? And it had that yellow tone to it. But I was always iffy about the Dial of Destiny because I had a feeling it was going to have something to do with going back in time. And I was just like, oh, man. And everyone tripped about aliens, but it's like, I don't know, man. I still think that's more far-fetched than going back in time.
Oh, yeah. The ending of this is definitely more far-fetched because in the Crystal Skull, we get this Crystal Skull that leads to this. And it kind of makes sense that it was all tied into like the Mayans. And those symbols they put on the ground, and then it ties into like the pyramids and stuff, and how these ancient, aliens were like the gods that these people looked up to. So it still felt more Indiana Jones-ish, even though at the end they fucking go into another dimension.
There was like no treasure hunting. Like he has half the dial already. It's like he already has that. There's no like booby traps and all that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just like
and it's almost like
a lot of the stuff that makes it Indiana Jones.
And it's almost like the Mission Impossible one. He had half the dial. Mission Impossible we'll talk about next week had half the keys, the stupid key things in the
right. Yeah. That is funny. I didn't even think about that.
But and it almost seems like it was kind of cookie cutter too in the fact that like the bad guys don't really do anything. They just kind of fucking wait for Indy and them to go and they follow them. They just show up wherever they are.
They're just all following Mads Mikkelsen for some reason. I don't understand why. Like, what's so great? And then he's working with the president or something for some reason. I don't know. I know that
it's two separate things. It was there was that CIA agent in the beginning. She gets killed off pretty quick. They're looking for the Dial of Destiny, and then Mads Mikkelsen's looking for it. I don't think they know he's a Nazi. Only Indiana Jones knew he was a Nazi. And they have the henchman. So the henchman's in it for the money. The big guy henchman was good, and I loved Antonio Banderas, but he was kind of wasted here. They killed him off pretty quick. Spoilers. But he was good while he was in it.
Indy. That kills me every time. Indy? Like,
and it's good to see Sal. We saw Sal there for a while.
Like real life Puss in Boots on that movie.
Right. So he was okay. It doesn't bother me that the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character was going to sell it and double cross him. They all do that in the fucking movies. To a certain degree, but then she does pull his ass out of the fire. So that and the diving stuff. I think we talked about that. The way they I think the idea was good, but the way they filmed that fucking like deadly eel, it was like I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on there. They're in the cave of all those eels, and they're just like all around them, and like you couldn't tell what the fuck was happening.
Right, and that was definitely CGI heavy too. I know it's like you got to introduce the snakes somehow. That Indy snakes,
Yeah. But I think it did better than
there was just so much that none of it felt exciting. None of it felt like an adventure. Like I
kind of felt A to B to C to D to E.
Yeah, like when I'm watching, Yeah, I was watching, I watched Crystal Skull because I felt like that was the big one you got to compare because everybody always hates shits on that one. And I always enjoyed it. Yes, it's not the first three, but I
No,
still
but to
always
me, the
liked it.
villain, Kate Blanchett, was great. The villain was good, better than Mads
And that one
Mikkelsen.
kind of introduces like the KGB in that one, where all the other ones were
Right, which
always the
makes sense because
German.
that was in the 50s. This is in the new ones in
Yeah,
almost in the
I
70s.
thought I have to watch Temple of Doom again, but I might like Crystal Skull more than Temple of Doom.
I like Crystal
Honestly,
Skull more than
I
Temple of
was
Doom. I
never
do.
Temple of Doom was never like my favorite. Like
Temple of
for
Doom
some
got
reason
sunk.
that one never hit as hard as I don't know. I
I think
wasn't.
Temple of Doom got sunk because of the Kate Capshaw character. I couldn't stand her.
I always loved the first and third the best. The second
Yeah,
one, not to say it was bad or anything, it's great. It is great, but just I
yeah.
don't know.
My
It was
order
not
would
the
be
level as far as, like
yeah
the
one
adventure, the
yeah.
atmosphere.
Mine would be 1, 3, 4, and 5. That would be my order. 1, 3, 4, 5, and 2. That would be my order.
Oh, you would put two last? There's no way I'm putting fucking
Oh
Dial
no, wait, no, not last. I'm sorry.
1, 3,
1, 1,
4, 2,
3,
5.
4, 2, and 5. There you go.
Yeah. I was gonna say mine would probably be the same.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta rewatch Temple of Doom though, so I might it could be like 1, 3,
well,
2,
Temple of Doom is
4,
similar.
5.
Temple of Doom. The reason why I got Temple of Doom was the first one to get the whole PG-13 because of
Yeah,
the darkness.
which gave it
It
a
was
lot
less.
of hype.
Yeah, there
But
was
then
less humor, but there's still some humor in Temple of Doom.
yeah,
So
that's the only one I think that's PG-13.
no, they're all
They
PG-13.
are? Oh, I thought that they were
Yeah,
PG.
but the first one was PG.
Oh, the
Yeah,
first one's PG.
yeah.
Okay.
But in that way, and that had melting faces, so go figure. But it was a different era back then.
You know what's funny? They do the thing too in Crystal Skull, where the doors open at the end and the hat goes over to Shia LaBeouf, and that he
And he
grabs
picks
it,
it up and grabs it
but
and
then
takes away
in
from him.
this one, because this is supposed to be the final one, and then his hat's sitting on like the out in the awning or whatever,
And
and
he
he
takes it
grabs it
back.
like he's gonna go on another mission. So it's like it was weird how they left that.
Well, yes, there's not that ending kind of told you like, yes, there's no more Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones. It's done for him, but for the character, he's not done to give it up yet, and that's why
Yeah.
he took the hat and he put it back on.
Yeah.
I like that. I kind of like that.
I get that where it's just like, and he'll always, no one will ever
Right.
be
Well,
Indiana
I don't
Jones.
know. You probably don't remember this, but back they had that Young Indiana Jones show on
Oh, I never
ABC.
watched it. I've always wanted to see it, but I thought River Phoenix was supposed to play him.
No, it was son Patrick Flannery, and he was great. The first year of that show was really good,
Really?
and then it got kind of into. They made it more like for like like for kids and like teaching them
Yeah.
history lessons. But in the first year of that show, all the episodes started out with old Indiana Jones. This guy, when he's like 90 years old,
Yeah.
he's sitting on a porch and he's talking about all the adventures he had when he was young.
Wow.
And when George Lucas syndicated that and put it on disc, he made them remove all the old Indiana Jones segments so that they're no longer canon, which I thought was shitty because I like that.
So they made it not canon?
Yeah, I guess. Probably because of the future movies, you don't want to be shoehorned into it in case they want to kill him off or whatever. But
Oh my God, yeah.
So we eventually. I like that scene where they're going through and they're finding when they find the Dial of Destiny, which is kind of dumb because the bad guys get down to the place first, right? But they don't bother to move the fucking dude out of his casket to find out that he's got the Dial of Destiny behind him. Okay, come on. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
That was kind of stupid. So
Yeah.
that whole part with the rats and the bugs, that was kind of cool. That was kind of reminding me of that.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, and they had some cool chase scenes in it and stuff. But it was kind of cookie cutter, and then you get to the ending. Now, the ending, I said it in my review when I said coming out of the theater, the people that have a problem with aliens is not going to like this.
No, not at all.
Now, I will say off the bat, I don't really have a problem too much with it because to me, Indiana Jones was always a pulp Saturday serial. That's what it was supposed to be. If you go back and watch all the old time serials, that's what the Raiders of the Lost Ark was always supposed to be. I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with the way they did it. The execution was pretty poor. We get basically them taking off. They're gonna fly. This kind of reminds me. You haven't watched all the Star Trek movies?
No.
And Star Trek Generations, which is the 7th one, I'll just say this briefly. They had this thing where they have this anomaly, and they call it the ribbon. And when you fly into the ribbon in space, you get to go back and relive your life and have all these moments of joy. So in the case of Kirk, he goes back and has the family he never has. And same thing with Picard. And the main bad guy wants to get back to it because they can live with his dead family. But it's stupid. What they have to do is they don't. You can fly to the ribbon and go into it, but the villain builds this thing on a planet where he stands there, and then he have to bring the anomaly to him to make him go into it, which is stupid. And that's kind of like what they did in this movie. They take the dial and they fly into the portal. Well, if they had the dial, why could the portal be on the ground? It just didn't make any fucking sense. So anyways, we get her sneaking aboard the fucking plane, which was stupid. We get the kid flying the plane. Did you ever fucking fly a plane before? And fucking he's able to follow him and hang around. And then at the end, they land. There's no place to take off to go back. There's no runway. The plane can't just go up. They have to go with a runway when all the shit's fighting around them. So instead of fucking realizing it's stupid and they'd have to explain how they actually got back,
knock them out.
They just cut it.
They just knock Indy out and then they're back.
Now I don't mind the part where she knocks him out because at the end I thought for a second.
Yeah, because I was like, this is how they're gonna kill him.
I thought for a second they were gonna leave him there.
Yeah.
They were gonna fucking quantum leap him like Sam never fucking got home and he stayed in.
I was like, oh my god.
And I said, don't do that. That's shitty. I love the fact that she said, you ain't fucking staying here. And she fucking.
I know some people said they thought that would be good though, because then they're like, then Indiana Jones would become like an artifact, like what he always hunted down. And I was like,
right, I know, but you also have to realize you can't fuck with time. He can't stay there.
Exactly.
And he should know that as a fucking archaeologist. He can't stay there. But I almost thought they were gonna do it. But I do like the fact that she knocks him out. Said, fucking stay here, idiot. Yeah. They don't show how he gets back because that's fucking. I don't know how they would ever get back.
Yeah.
Somehow and then they wake up, and I do like the ending that they brought Marion back.
Yeah.
And, oh my god, that Indy looked bad. Marion was unrecognizable. She looked.
Oh my god,
she looked like she did
in the Crystal Skull, in my opinion.
But man, 15 years, man, it shows what it does to you.
I know, because she wasn't looking great in Crystal Skull, because I watched when they get married at the end and she like rushes in to kiss him and he's all like and I was like she was trying to get a little sugar from Harrison Ford and he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, well, Karen Allen retired from acting 20 years ago. And
I was going to say
she lives
older than Indy, I think.
Yeah, she lives up in upstate Massachusetts, not a ways away from me, but she lives up in Mass and she teaches acting classes in theater and stuff.
She's a good actress. She's old.
Yeah, I mean she's not keeping herself for movies. She's not in a movie anymore. She's not doing that anymore. But you know,
it's definitely always the best. I'm glad they brought her back in a way.
Right.
The best woman that was ever,
Yes. And it's supposed to be the love of his life and all that. And I'm glad that at the end they got back together and they got over that. And I wish they could have had Shia LaBeouf come back. I didn't mind him too much in the movie.
I didn't either. I always liked Shia LaBeouf a lot.
I mean, they could have recast him because the actor himself is a little nuts now, I guess, and he's burnt some bridges. But, I'm glad they didn't go there. I think when they do redo, and they are going to redo Indiana Jones, they're going to reboot it. They won't have a son or anything like that. But that ending. So
Yeah,
let's
it's
talk about
kind of crazy too. That they
the
just
ending's nuts. I mean, the war's going all around them. They're getting shot with missiles. Some of that was cool. For some reason, fucking Mads Mikkelsen just fucking starts crying and saying, he just he wasn't a great, well-defined villain.
No, and he can be so good. Like he could be so
Right.
good, but they just gave him nothing to
The
work.
guy
with.
was Hannibal, man. The guy could be good. Yeah, the
They-
guy
like,
was great
I
in fucking
don't know
Casino
why. I
Royale.
think they just thought like he gives off a creepy, menacing
Right.
vibe. Like
Go
you
back
gave
and
him
watch
nothing.
Casino Royale. He
Gave
was a
him
good
nothing.
villain in that. But
You said what about Casino Royale?
he was in that and he was good. He was the villain in that.
Yeah, he's
damn
great
film.
as Hannibal. He's one. He is incredible as Hannibal.
Yeah. It's just that they didn't write the character all that well.
I just think they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they should have done a whole different movie, and just brought it back to like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Last Crusade. Like just have a regular. Yes, you can add the little bit of, you know what I mean. Like yes, the Holy Grail kept the people and they melted away or whatever. But it's like.
Well, I think the Dial
bring it back to a little bit of the original level, and it's like they just went further.
What I would have done is I would have had him in the college, but doing going over archaeological stuff. And
Nobody was in his class either.
I would have had the guard down to go to him with this thing, and then him decide to go with her to look for it. And then I would have probably not done it. I would have just found it. I maybe would have shown a portal being opened, but not actually go back in time.
Yeah.
But then Indy realizes that this thing, if somebody can open a portal and go back in time,
that might have been better.
That's what they want to do. Mads Mikkelsen wanted to go back in time and
then stop them. Yeah, we didn't need to see them actually go and then be like, oh.
Right, and Mads Mikkelsen wanted to go back and kill. He says that you're the first Nazi that wants to go back in time and kill Hitler. Because Mads Mikkelsen is convinced if it wasn't for Hitler,
but they can only go back to the one Roman times or whatever.
Right, they actually go back too far.
So they could have just left it and just never beat them and just opened it up like you said, and just no one ever went through it, and you could have been like, oh, they could have maybe.
Yeah, and then he destroys it so no one can go through it.
Exactly.
Much better ending.
Because we didn't need to know about, they can't go back to the fuck and kill Hitler. They can only go back to this time. And then you see the Roman times guy or whatever. It's just, or the guy that created the Dial of Destiny. Yeah. I don't care about any of that. I just don't care.
Yeah, and
I was rewatching I still have to watch Raiders and Temple. I've seen them a million times, but it's those movies are so good, and Crystal Skull was so much more enjoyable than this.
Yeah, the only knock I have against Crystal Skull is the CGI was wonky in parts. The part that everybody latches onto where Shia LaBeouf is fighting on the Jeep and he's stretching his legs like he's a million miles. That whole sequence was kind of not good.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, with the ants, the killer fire ants sucking the guy in the hole and stuff like that.
And they're splatting every time they're driving over them and shit.
Yeah,
I remember everyone hated on the groundhog in the opening.
I have no problem with that. I thought that was great.
Speaking of Oppenheimer, they start that movie with an atomic bomb,
Right, with
and he lives.
Yeah, and that was far-fetched, but who cares?
Don't you know those refrigerators that kill you?
Yeah. I know. But yeah, it's so, and then when they're in the warehouse in the beginning and he gets away from the Nazis and he's jumping, he's doing the ropes and they actually go through when they go through. I love the shot when they go in the warehouse and they show the fucking box, the fucking Ark of the Covenant in the first fucking movie with the box have smashed on it. Because that's that warehouse. It's a much better movie. It's a much better movie.
Way better.
And
I don't mind the alien stuff at all, and like you said, it works out with the Mayans and the pyramid drawings. I think it all makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and John
I never hated it. I never really hated it. I didn't think it was the best, but now I like it. It's aged on me a lot better, honestly.
It's better than 5, without a doubt.
It's way
and John Hurt's character was great in it.
I don't hate it at all. I don't really have many problems with it. other than that he kind of keeps forgiving that. Is it John Hurt's the guy who keeps like the double agent who keeps screwing him and then
That's his other buddy. Yeah.
yeah. But I
Well,
honestly I think it's a good movie. I think Shia is good in it. I don't think he's great, but I still think he's good. And it's the greaser look, like it's perfect for. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was
I
the
think it
50s.
works.
That's what it was supposed
And
to be.
we, like you said, you thought he was old in that. Wait till you see this.
Yeah.
I
But
think he's got it. I think he still had it back then, and they should have came out with the sequel so much sooner.
well, I think they did intend to do that, but it's just getting everything going.
Exactly.
Still,
No, that's because everything's coming back, so that's why people
right.
they think it's.
Still, I don't think the hate this movie is getting is warranted. It's not everything I would have done. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much as the other ones, but I still thought it was okay.
I still went and saw it, and you know what?
I
probably would
still
go
thought
see
it
it
was
again.
okay.
It's still a good watch.
Yeah,
but,
I tried to go see it again last weekend, but the theater I went to was so bad I had to leave.
Yeah.
And I figure it's gonna be on Disney Plus
Yeah.
soon.
Especially since they're saying it's a flop.
It actually isn't.
But
And it's doing. I think so far it made 300 million worldwide.
Yeah,
It's not the flop they're
so.
making out to be. It's not going to be a total flop. It's
they're
not going
just
to be
spending so much money on these movies.
It's not going to be Flash level flop, but it's going to be. And the Flash is another movie.
Flop.
The thing is, there is an agenda out now that even if these movies were the best movies in the world, it makes monetary sense for people on YouTube to get out and say they're terrible, or they're woke, or they're fucking, Kathleen Kennedy's killing my fucking kid. Kathleen Kennedy, if you look at fucking Crystal Skull movie, I like Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall, who was her husband, is the main dudes responsible for all these fucking movies were so good in the past. It's the writing, man. It's the fucking writing. And I've said that before, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. And of course, it is their fault that they're not getting better writers, and they're making them so fucking effects heavy. Write a good movie, And if you do that, I think, we in those other movies we had Lawrence Kasdan writing them, and really good script writers. It's just the writing, but this movie wasn't as bad as I think everybody is saying it was. To me, it's still enjoyable. I'll still watch it along with the rest of the franchise, because I like the actors, and I like the sequence. So it's, I wish it could have done better, but in the end, it's going to do okay. And I'm glad I went to see it. So as soon as Dylan gets back, we'll rate this sucker and probably give our last impressions on it. As I said, other than the ending, I would have done the ending a lot differently. That is my biggest problem I had with the movie. Was the ending was just dumb, and it just wasn't written well. And if they had redone that, I think I would have boosted my opinion of it a little bit more. But hey, what can you do? It is what it is. So we're gonna rate this in a second. While Dylan's gone, I'm going to say I want to tell everybody the Monday night show that I normally do is going to go on break for a while. I was just going to get burned out from it. I will still be on Dylan's show on Saturday nights, and me and Dylan have some other things we're going to be doing in the future. I think we're going to be doing coming up soon is going to be a look at all the steelbooks we have. We're going to be doing an unboxing video later this week, and we're going to be coming out next week with our impressions of Mission Impossible 8.
I'm excited.
And I'll be back sometime. But I want to thank everybody that did tune in for the last a year or so with the sci-fi show, and then the comedy stuff was doing at the end. I'm glad you guys tuned in and you liked them, and I'll be back with those at some point. So I guess we'll wrap this up, doing some overall impressions of the movie, and I guess we'll rate it.
I mean, I'm glad I went to see it and supported it. I've always been an Indiana Jones fan my whole life. I love Harrison Ford, but it's just crazy to see your idols and gets these celebrities that we've like idolized and loved our whole life just get old, man, and just you see like it's just sad, but it's I love to see him still out there getting it, and but I just feel it's a little too late. We should have got this maybe 5-10 years ago, or like it's just it's worth the watch though. I'll be getting it for my collection without a doubt. But yeah,
and to tell you the truth,
without a doubt.
When I watched Crystal Skull, at the end of that movie, when he gets married and then I would have been fine if they left it there. I was saying to myself when I watched it, this ending's fine for me. That's all there is of Indiana Jones. I think it went out well. It did okay. This movie really didn't have to be made. I'm glad they made it. I like revisiting the character again. And it's not his fault he's old. As I said, the writing, man.
But he's still a boss for giving it a shot. One last go.
Yeah, and they just need to do better with the writing. That's to me is what they need to do. So I'm gonna give this a 3.75. I still really enjoyed it. It's not the best in the series, but it certainly is better than a lot of people are making out to be. And hey, Indy, I love my Indiana Jones.
I like Flash better though, even though they're way different movies.
I do like Flash better. Flash to me was a pretty decent movie that got shit on for a lot of different reasons. So
yeah.
All right. So what are you rating this then?
This one would probably get a 3.
Okay.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 3.75 for old time's sake. I do like a lot of it. Just the ending I had the most.
I want to also rewatch it because I was very tired from working all day, and
this movie might actually.
I wouldn't go any more than 3.25. I don't think, because after rewatching them too, because I just don't think it's not. It needed to be directed by Steven Spielberg one last time. I just it's missing that oomph, that Spielberg glow.
Yeah, and as I said, also I think the writing is what lets it down. The script is a little wonky.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So I'm going to say 3.75. Dylan gives a 3.25. So hey, I would say that's it.
No. I gave it a 3. I said maybe
after 3. Okay.
Maybe after a rewatch, I'll bump it to 3.25.
We'll have to go back and revisit it after rewatch.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll bump it a little bit higher. I don't know, but it's definitely worth seeing. And I think it was worth seeing in the theater too. I enjoyed watching it in the theater.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth seeing in theaters.
All right, guys. So, thank you guys for coming on and watching this. And we'll be back later this week. We got an unboxing video we're going to be doing, and at some point we're going to be doing a Mission Impossible 7 review coming out. And look for that. Look for some other stuff coming up. Everybody have a good evening. Have a good week.
And we'll see you this Saturday for sure on the horse show, 7:30
next week's Sunday. And it's going to be Humanoids from the Deep, baby.
And we'll have our Mission Impossible talk coming, and that should be fun. Breaking down the newest one, definitely worth going to see in theater.
And that movie has even more. It has 6 other movies to compare.
Yeah, so go check that out so you can come tune in for our next review.
All right, guys.
And our unboxings.